Hey friends, welcome to the second season of So, What Makes You Come Alive podcast, inspiring conversations with everyday humans like you about what lights them up. We're your hosts, Gabe the Girl
and Michaela McGee. And this season, we're continuing to explore what it would look like to take ownership of and change the narratives of our lives to live a life fully alive.
Hey everybody, welcome back to So, What Makes You Come Alive podcast. I'm Gabe the Girl.
And I'm Michaela.
Thank you so much for joining us again for one of our topic conversations. Today, we are talking about something that is actually very close to our hearts and something that Michaela and I have been in practice on for many, many, many years. I think I actually learned quite a bit about this from Michaela back when I first met you, Michaela. I think you were one of the first beautiful examples of somebody who's kind of stepping into this place. So maybe I should just tell you what we're talking about today.
The build-up. One's on the edge
build-up. Are you ready? Are you on the edge of your seat? Yes. We're talking about caring for your reserves. What are your reserves, may you ask? Your reserves, think about your operating capacity, your capacity as a human being holistically, mind, body, soul, to give to your day-to-day, whether that's you're giving into work, you're giving into relationships, you're giving into home renovation projects, or taking care of your animals, like whatever that may look like, whatever you're giving yourself to that day. It could be even taking care of yourself. Whatever your operating capacity is for that day, taking a look at whether that's 40% or 60% or 95% of replenishing reserves that may have dwindled due to various factors in your life. That could be sickness, that could be like burnout, that could be many things.
Yeah, totally. So that burnout is a real thing. And I know I'm not alone in feeling it, but it is like, I was just telling Gabe right before we started recording, like this feels like one of the biggest lessons in my life because it keeps coming back. Like, how do I deal with burnout? Like, how do I prevent burnout? How do I take care of myself? How do I make sure that my reserves of energy, of like output are replenished, are, able? Because like, of course, like I say, I would love to be able to give from an overflowing cup, but that's not always possible. If we are not like, I don't know, I just think about, moms who have young kids, like it's just a stage of life. Sure. But like, oh my gosh, you are not getting sleep at night. Like you're not able to put yourself first because you're trying to keep a tiny human alive. Like there are different seasons that we are all in where it feels like we need to give more than we can receive. So how do we replenish the reserves? How do we find a way in our everyday life and in like a bigger picture? Like, I mean, we've talked about like going on vacation can replenish your reserves, maybe. I always feel like I need a vacation for my vacation though.
Honestly, sometimes it's like, oh wait, maybe we planned a little too much into that short amount of time.
Yeah. You day off.
For sure. I think something that was important for me and taking a look at like my overall capacity and then like my reserves was like really working on my relationship with my own capacity. It was like realizing like I am finite. I am a human being. I'm not just some like go Energizer Bunny like of the 90s. I don't know if you guys remember those commercials of the Energizer Bunny. It just keeps going and going and going. I am not that. But back when I was in, high school and college, I thought I was that. And I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, I can just keep going. It's fine. I can just keep serving. It's fine. I can just keep, burning the candle at both ends. Like I'm supposed to be Superwoman.
Yes. Yeah. Like as society says, you are supposed to be able to do it all. But excuse me? No. And I know that there are some people out there who really do have enormous amounts of energy, and that's incredible. I am not one of those people.
Totally.
I need a lot of
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every personality, every human being has a different capacity
Mm.
for different situations, different things that are, calling for. I may not have the capacity and the patience for children right now, but I'm also not a mom. And so I'm sure I would build on those, but it's just like different walks of life, different seasons, different situations.
Totally. Yeah, but even as you were saying, like, have a relationship with your own capacity, like
Yep.
understand what that is and what really actually takes a lot out of you versus what pours into
Mm-hmm.
you. Like I don't know, I think about hanging out with old people, like not my favorite thing to do. Definitely takes a lot of my energy, but I have a friend who just loves being around old people, like totally energizes
Oh,
her to just hang out with them. And I'm like, okay, woof. But like two different people, two different energy capacities, and it's the same situation, but
mm-hmm.
like making that relationship with yourself, like what even your work context, like are you sitting at a computer more than you're around people, but you need to be around people? Like that's how you get your energy restored or your whatever, your reserves replenished, like
Totally.
maybe examine that. Like, are you really in a work context that is helping to replenish your reserves? Is there something that you can do about that?
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like a very specific example of that from like my own experiences could be like back in college. I had several different friends that got married in which they were like, "Hey, could you help me to like be the weekend coordinator of my wedding?" And literally after a whole weekend of, rehearsal dinner to, the ceremony to the reception and like all of those things running around nonstop, it was like the day after, it was almost like I had a cold. My body responded in a way that was like, okay, tap out, like we're done, KO, like we're tapped out. Now we have to take care of those reserves. We have to replenish because if we don't replenish, we're not gonna make it.
Yeah.
It's like just knowing when you have to like maybe cut out some time during your week to do nothing at the end of the day or in the middle of the day to go for a walk and not back to back to back plan Zoom calls and meetings and things that are going to continually drain your supply.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And I think even asking yourself, how important are those things? Do they need to happen right
Mm.
now? Can I
Mm-hmm.
spread them out so that I
Yep.
can build in time for a walk? Like
Totally.
we have the same 24 hours in a day as everybody else. And what are you really doing in those 24 hours? Are you
Yeah.
giving yourself enough time to sleep, to eat like slowly, to rest, to
Mm-hmm.
recharge when like maybe the rest of your day is a little bit draining, or even the activities that you're doing, like are they bringing you life? Are
Yeah.
they restoring your energy reserves? Are they doing, I wouldn't even say like more good than bad, but like are are they more positive, like
Mm-hmm.
actually adding something good to the reserves?
Totally.
It's Yeah, I think that there's a lot of good stuff, but like even what you were talking about when you and I first met, this was something that I was definitely putting into practice, was finding daily and weekly rhythms of how to put in that time, and not just like self-care time, but like how do I create breaks in my day,
Mm-hmm.
between the Zoom calls or between meetings or whatever. Like at the time, I mean, we were working in Spain. So, sometimes meetings would go to like midnight or 1 a.m. And I am a
Mm.
morning person. And I always, I wanted to go to the gym in the mornings. And so, like, I was not getting enough time to rest at night. And so, on those days that I knew that I was going to have a late evening meeting or something, like, thankfully, siesta is very much observed in Spain, but like
Yeah.
I gave myself the freedom to take a siesta and feel the need to like clock in at a certain time and put in, a full 8 hours or whatever. But like I know that I had a little bit more freedom in my schedule at that time to like kind of dictate what my work days were going to look like, aside from, preset meetings. But I think that it's something worth taking a look at for yourself too, of like
Mhm.
where, what rhythm is actually going to be sustainable. Like,
Yeah.
can I input breaks? Do I need to have like 1 to 2 evenings completely free,
Yeah.
alone, by myself, phone turned off, whatever? Like, how extreme do I need it to be, or do I want it to
Hmm.
be? You know?
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to turn off the phone, but I think there are others that are afraid that I will turn off my phone.
Same.
How will I reach you?
That's exactly true. And I'm
Well,
like, you won't.
it won't. That's the point.
That's the point. I actually quite like it. But yes, I agree. There are
Yeah,
some people
it's
in my life
doable.
who do not like that I do this.
But in the end,
Yeah, I'm
like
okay.
I was so challenged by my best friend one time when she told me, I think she told me that she like turns her phone completely off at night. And I was like, wait, you turn your phone like completely off. Like I have mine on like do not disturb. And I was like, but what if something happened? Like what if somebody needed to call you and like there was an accident or somebody died? And she's like, you know what? The thing that happened, it will have already happened. And when I hear about it, I'll hear about it. And at that point, I will have like had a full night's rest and I can deal with it then when it's presented to me. And I was like, whoa. Like
Yeah.
to like just come to a place where you're like, I've made peace with not having to be connected all the time. That actually it's going to be better for me to replenish my reserves by disconnecting, and I probably approach the whatever situation is at hand when I do reconnect with more clarity of mind, more rest, more wisdom, like whatever it may be. But
Yeah.
anyway, that was super challenging to me. And I mean, I definitely keep my phone on like do not disturb after a certain time of night. Um, just because I know we've gotten so used to just being on
Hmm.
call all the time. I'm not a doctor,
Right.
but I'm like always on call.
Yeah. But you think about like not that long ago, not everybody had a cell phone. There
Yep.
was a landline, most likely, in your home, and that was it. And like, I don't know, it's not like we turned that off at night, but like people didn't call in the middle of the night,
Yeah,
usually,
totally.
I guess, unless there was an emergency. But like our society is so freaking into instant gratification and like need to know all the things right now. Like I need to just be able to pull out my phone at any given second and find out whatever it is that I need to find out. Like
Yeah.
whatever happened to just not knowing, or
Yeah.
like this blissful ignorance of like,
Mm-hmm.
if I remember, then I'll look it up later, you know,
Sure.
in
Yeah.
my encyclopedia that I have at home.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Uh, one of the authors of a book that I was reading recently, he wrote something that I think speaks directly to that, which is he wrote, we burn through so much of our emotional, mental, and spiritual energy simply through worry, anger, being generally unsettled, and by taking in too much of the overwhelming news of the world. It's just like
Mm,
that's stealing from our reserves too.
yep.
Like
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. It really is. And we're letting it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we're we're putting ourselves in those situations to like hear about it, to see it, whatever it is. Like I just feel like we're in this constantly overstimulated state. Is like, I'm not saying like necessarily just remove yourself from the world, but like, do you
No,
really
no,
need
no.
to be like watching the news every single
Sure.
day, or, like morning and night? Like, can you put into practice like pulling yourself out of that just a little bit and
Yeah.
giving yourself that break and like recognizing that? I love the way that the author put that was, taking in too much of the overwhelming news of the world. Like, we're taking it in. We are consciously or
Yeah.
subconsciously taking it in, but can you consciously not, even
Yeah.
just for a little bit? Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe only listen to the news, you know, 5 mornings a week instead of the full 7 or whatever. And like you were saying that your friend said, whatever is happening is already happening. It doesn't
Yeah.
need to necessarily impact you. And I know that like there is heartbreak and heartache all over the world. And that's usually what's covered in the news. And we don't need to be like, we don't need to ignore that that is happening, but we also don't need to let it consume us because there's
Yeah.
then no space for us to care for ourselves.
Yeah. I know that I would like to trick my mind into thinking that I'm replenishing my reserves and really resting by laying down and scrolling on my phone for like an hour or two, you
Uh-huh.
know. But I all know that that's not true. It's definitely
Ew.
not true. There are so many more beneficial things I can be doing with that hour or two
Right.
or that, 30 minutes before bed that are actually going to be replenishing me
Yes.
emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Like
Mm-hmm.
also physically, like, I don't
Yes.
know, like instead of scrolling on my phone, like go take an Epsom salt bath, like go do
Yeah.
some red light therapy,
Right.
do some
Do some
stretching,
stretching.
like
Nice.
drink some water,
Yeah.
food
Basic
prep
thing.
for the next day, like make sure you're like not
Yeah.
ignoring like the necessities, the things that your body needs, the reserves that,
Yeah.
are needed to
Mm,
be replenished so that you can live more sustainably and more alive.
right. Right. Yeah. And I think like sometimes it is just easier to like zone out to Netflix or whatever
Oh, sure. Yeah.
and relax in that way.
Yeah.
And I'm working on shifting my mindset around that and saying, like if I need to zone out right now, maybe I just put on a meditation and let myself actually zone out, but like eyes closed,
Sure.
like
Yeah.
decompress and whatever, like let my brain just absorb everything that it has already absorbed. And maybe I take a nap, who knows? But like
Sure.
just being able to kind of shut off and
Totally.
I don't know, like recharge and just be present in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I have kind of like mixed feelings about that because like right now I would love to just go watch a show on Netflix and like
Sure.
but I know that that will not leave me feeling any more rested,
Mm-hmm.
afterwards. But
Yeah.
finding, I think honoring like where you
Mm.
are and what your needs really are too.
Yeah.
Again, goes back to what you were saying, like have that relationship with your capacity. Know
Mm-hmm.
what it is that you really truly need in this moment because sometimes it might really actually be zoning out to a TV show or
Sure.
scrolling
Yeah.
or whatever. Like
I mean,
that it
yeah.
can be helpful sometimes.
There are some like movies out there or even TV shows that, give me a little boost of,
Mm-hmm.
what is it, serotonin? It's just
Yeah.
like, little boost of like, like
Yeah. Joy.
joy, things that
Mm-hmm.
are enjoyable to watch. But I know when I'm overdoing it. I think we all know when we're overdoing it a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, asking yourself some really needed questions like, do I really need to do that now? Do I really need to attend that gathering with everybody? Do I really need to finish this project this
Mm-hmm.
weekend? Like, where can I draw the line for myself? Because I'm realizing that my ability right now to, accomplish whatever I need to do is low. And I know that my reserves need some help. And let me just throw this out there. I'm sure, I mean, we have male listeners, but I also want to throw out a word to our wonderful females who are listening, who go through a monthly cycle of like crazy ups and downs in energy levels depending on where you are. And there are going to be some weeks that you're like really needing to replenish your reserves a lot more than other weeks.
Yep.
So if
Honor
you are
that.
a yeah, if you are a menstruating woman and you you, you
Yes.
need some time to replenish your reserves so that you can give I you know I used to have this well, I had a professor that used to say like you can have two of three things all at once. He's like you can let me see if I get this right. You can do it you can make something. It was a film professor. He's like you can make something quick, cheap, or good. But you can't have all three, right? And so in this way, it's like, okay, like there is something that I'm gonna have to sacrifice. But if I want to do things well, and I want to do things, at the best capacity that I can, I'm gonna have to say no to some things, or I'm gonna have to set some time aside to maybe completely turn off my phone, and let myself rest, or build in more time for walks and naps. And
yeah. Again, honoring that. I think that this has been like a really important conversation. I'm, like I said already, this continues to come back in my life. This is a lesson that I continue to learn. But I think that there were some really good nuggets, wisdom nuggets, as we like to say on this podcast, in here, of like practices that every single person can put into place, like what could a daily rhythm look like for you that will allow for you to replenish your reserves on a daily basis? What about a weekly one and a monthly one? And, like yearly, sure. Yeah. Maybe taking vacations here and there, but how do you do that between, in your actual day-to-day life? Like, what can that really look like? And where do I need to draw some boundaries for the sake of being able to give more? And I think one of the ways that I have been learning this lesson over the last several years is the more that I care for myself, the more capacity I actually have to give, to serve, and to be there for others. And so just totally flipping the priorities. Like I used to just put every single other human being on this planet ahead of myself. But when I put myself first and foremost, that replenishes my reserves and gives me an abundance of energy to be able to give. And it helps me set those boundaries because I am taking care of myself. I'm honoring where I am in any given moment, which I know is easier said than done. But I would say, like, if you take anything from this conversation today, like maybe examine your relationship with your capacity. What really actually lights you up, what gives you life, and what is maybe taking away from that, and how can you find a balance that gets to be sustainable?
Yeah, people, don't wait for a vacation to get your reserves all filled up. Don't wait for your vacation days to come around. Like, care for yourself, and it'll make life more enjoyable. I think. All around. Care for your reserves. Let us know what you thought about this conversation. If you have questions, if you have an experience with, what you have done to maybe make some adjustments in your life when it comes to caring for your reserves, we'd love to hear about it. Michaela and I really love to get together and have these topic conversations with you guys. We love even more when you guys have something to share as well. So feel free to drop us a comment, send us an email. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Thrive Fully Alive, or you can send us an email at thrivefullyalive@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you guys. If you want to share this podcast with a friend or family member or coworker, pass it along. And we're always up for new conversations with new individuals. So feel free to reach out to us, or find that link on our Instagram bio or on Facebook to fill up the form and hop on a conversation with us. All right, now off to fill up our reserves. But no, truly, honestly, that's what we're going to go do right now. We're going to practice what we teach people. And, it's been a long day, I think, for both of us. So we hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to So What Makes You Come Alive. We're so inspired by the conversations we get to have with everyday humans about what lights them up and how to love the story they're living. We hope that you feel just as inspired too.
Interested in getting in on the inspiration? Click the link in our Instagram bio at Thrive Fully Alive and select the option for the One About You. Be our guest. Remember to tune in each week for a new episode where we explore what it looks like to get back to living our best story, where we hope that your favorite story becomes your own.